Hey, Radiant Souls, welcome to 2026. Happy New Year. Let's get our first monthly energy forecast of the year ready to go right now. I'm going to cut right to the chase. The energy theme for January 2026 is quietude. And what my team of guides have been showing me is that no matter what we think is coming, and there are a lot of forecasts out there that name certain days, certain events, and all of that, and regardless of what is forecasted in that sense, I want you to feel empowered. And that's what my team of guides focus on. How can you build your resilience? How can you be empowered and stand in that delicious energy of being a conscious creator in this world right now for yourselves? And so the energy that they are saying is most beneficial for us to start the year off is quietude, a sense of inner stillness. And it's not that the inner stillness is necessarily detaching from everything in the world. But we talked about this a few weeks ago as well. Presence is the portal. Finding that inner stillness so that you tap into all that you are, all that is potential, all that can be created in the world through your own vessel, through your unique biochemistry, through your energy, through your soul. If you can't dive into that part of yourself, you can't really mine that beautiful well of possibility. And that's what we want to start January with this year. And that's not to say things will get scary or spicy or chaotic or any of that. They may not. But more and more as we're going through the changes, it's like spiritual, I call it sometimes spiritual puberty or spiritual menopause, like where you're making that shift. We're making that shift in the world, but really empowering ourselves. And that's what my team of guides focus on a lot. And that's what I love to do in my work, helping you be the best version of you, regardless of what else is happening. Whether there's something drastic going on in your personal landscape, whether there's something in the collective that's chaotic, wherever there is spiciness, I want you to be able to navigate it. And so that's what these forecasts are in large part. What kind of theme or note is being played most often in the collective that we can tune ourselves into, where we can all kind of sing in that same line of melody to amplify that energy and therefore be conscious creators in our own reality and conscious contributors to the collective reality. So for January 2026, that word or that theme is quietude. Really finding an inner stillness with yourself and visiting that place often. And it doesn't mean detaching from reality. It doesn't mean walling yourself off with really heavy, fierce boundaries. But it means tapping in, diving into that wellspring of delicious, beautiful, soul-filled energy and knowing where to find that, kind of like knowing where you put the car keys, knowing where to find that for yourself so that you can continue to go back there. You can continue to strengthen that. You can continue to operate in the world from that place, from that aligned authenticity. I think a lot of people are talking about it, and I have talked about it here on the channel and in personal appointments and my classes as well. Authenticity is the most beautiful expression and the most palpable kind of currency as we're moving farther into going toward the 2030s, which is a little crazy to think about because I just picture like Star Trek or something like that. But knowing how you are such a beautiful, radiant individual is so important. And more we're seeing in the world expressions of individuality being celebrated, but we're also seeing challenges to that. I think with some of our technology, of course, with social media, where we're shown different standards of beauty or behavior or success, but really establishing and putting your foot down as, no, this is how I am. This is how I look. This is how I move through the world. And that is just as valuable, just as beautiful as someone else's. So finding that authenticity for yourself. And we get there through listening to yourself, through tuning into yourself, through going within. Presence is the portal So presence is the portal to, yes, multidimensionality or past life journeying, if you're into that. We've talked about that here before. But presence is also the portal to you and your soul and the beautiful richness that you bring as a conscious co-creator to this reality right now. So we can talk about predictions. This thing is going to happen on a certain date in January, or this event is going to happen in 2026, 2027, whatever. Like, there's a lot of conversation around that. And I think that that's valid. That's another conversation to have. But what my team of guides are more focused on is what's happening within you. Because what's happening within you is informing, potentially altering what those indicators are showing for predictions. So if there's something that you want to see more of in the world, be the change you wish to see in the world. We talk about that a lot. How do you do that? And it's knowing who you are. It's aligning with that authentic version of you. It's having quietude to go within and say, okay, I'm letting everything else be still. My thoughts, my emotions, everything churning around me. But where am I in this? And I'm planting that. I almost see it like a tree. I'm dropping my own roots down and feeding that energy into the world. What if we practiced that in January? We may not become masters at it. That level of attention and that level of stillness is hard for us sometimes because we've been conditioned for multitasking and we've been conditioned for what's next. But really just releasing the grasp on some of that and dropping into that center. And when I looked at the channeled art that came through for this month, and if you're new here, by the way, hi, I'm Heather. I'm a psychic channeler, medium, animal communicator, and intuitive artist, and I channel these art pieces. I call them frequency art, and they help us calibrate to the theme that we're talking about. So when we're talking about quietude, if you find that that's something you want to develop more of for yourself, you can use this art piece to help you find that frequency for yourself. So you can look at it in meditation. You can have it in your home on display. You can have it on your phone or your devices as a lock screen or whatever, and really just tuning into that and allowing yourself to feel into the frequency of the art. So it's not just the colors and the geometry and the rainbow light or whatever is in here, but it's you learning how to connect with the frequency for yourself, and that can help. So when I looked at this art that came through this month, the first thing that came to mind for me was the heart chakra. So it just looks to me like if you're pulling everything in energetically, when you empower that part of yourself, and this is, it's not wisdom that has not been shared somewhere else. That's a lot of negative words. It's not wisdom that's not. It's wisdom that's been shared by many other people. So this is not new, but this is what is on my mind as I'm looking at this. Pulling in all of that energy, really feeding that space of your heart. And I think not just the heart chakra directly, but the high heart. So what I have seen coming and what I've heard others speak to as well is this development or amplification of the high heart. So between the space that we know as our heart or our heart chakra and between the throat chakra, this multidimensional, I want to use the word portal again, but this multidimensional energy space that is being cultivated and grown and developed as a way that we can then better interact with multidimensional realities. So higher frequencies here coming into the planet, higher frequencies in galactic partners or astral realms or loved ones in spirit or helping with our telepathy as we connect with our pets, anything like that. This high heart energy is being developed for so many of us. And that's what I feel in this portrait. The more we drop into our quietude, our stillness, the more we feed that high heart, and it can just get bigger and bigger and stronger. And that becomes the seat of our authenticity. It becomes kind of the loading dock or the train station from where we can then jump to alternate realities, navigate multiple frequencies or higher frequencies, connect into past lives. It becomes this hub for us. And that's what this art looked like for me. But as always, I would love to hear what you see in the art. I love the rainbow light in here. I love, there's a lot of smoothness, but also some, we talked about boundaries. There's some boundaries here as well. And I think that's allowing yourself to be lovingly boundaried with that which does not serve you. That's also an important part of quietude. So let me know what you think in the art. And if you want to download a free copy of this, you can do that from my website, and I'll put a link in the description box below. You can also order this on canvas, metal, fine art paper. They look really great on metal because it gives it like this extra little shine and shimmer. And if there are other ways that you'd like to connect with me, I'll put that in the website below. One thing I want to mention, and I'll talk about this again in another couple of videos, but this class I have coming up starting in just a few days in January, but you can join after the first start date. It's called Becoming, and it is 12 classes, at least an hour long each, where we're working on our personal energetics. So more of this high heart energy, more of cultivating this, more of stepping into your own. We're working with and learning about collective energetics. We're learning and connecting with past life, parallel life energies in a way that allows you to tap into them and utilize that knowledge that you get. You connecting into other aspects of you, like being able to say, hey, future Heather, or hey, past Heather, can you help me out? Can you give me an answer? Can you nudge me in this way? Because I know as a soul, I've learned this lesson, or this is a theme I'm exploring. So what are you seeing over there? And how can it help me in this timeline? Or how can I in this timeline help a different version of me? Kind of fascinating stuff. And then we're going to learn and connect with developing your connection to your spirit guides and others. I'll say others, and the little asterisk there is dragon energy, the elementals, the elemental guides, nature frequencies, collective animal consciousness, things like that. So one of the things I love about my classes too is the relationships that start to be built by the students who attend, because we sometimes get in an echo chamber where we're just like so familiar with what we're watching and the podcasts we're consuming and things like that. But hearing actual stories from our peers and others on this path can be so helpful, because it helps us see that, hey, I'm not alone. I was having ascension symptoms, or I was connecting into this, or I had this dream where I, jumped out of my body and had this experience. You can hear that and talk about those things with other people in these kinds of spaces. And it's a really safe place to do that, because we all support one another and cheer one another on. So I'll put information for that below as well. I would love for you to join us. It's going to be so much fun. I cannot wait. And yeah, let me know how you're doing for January. And I hope your year is off to an amazing start.